So far in this module, we've spent our time discussing the linked list data structure and creating a simple implementation. In the real world, however, you would be unlikely to come across many situations where you would create your own linked list structure. Typically, you'll be using a language or framework that provides a linked list class that is already tested, performant, and compatible with your application. Unless you have a proven need to create your own linked list, I would highly recommend that you use the one provided for you. We'll quickly look at two common linked list implementations now. The first will be the .NET Framework's linked list class, and the second will be the C++ language's standard list class. The .NET Framework linked list class is very similar to the class that we created. It goes by the name linked list. It's a generic class. So in this example, I provided an integer parameter. We can see that we're adding the values 3, 5, and 7 using the add last method, and then we're able to enumerate each of those values and print them out. Now this is very similar to what our code looked like using our linked list class. So it's in the system.collections.generic namespace. It's a doubly linked list. Now, as we saw before, this provides some benefits for performance, and it gives some additional features for enumerating the list backwards. And it has the common operations that we've already seen: add first, last, the remove first and last, and find last. And it's also compatible with link to object. Now, there are existing courses on Pluralsight for link, and I would encourage you to check them out if you're curious what that means. C++ has the standard list class. Now I've performed the same operation of creating a list, adding the values 3, 5, and 7, and then printing them. So as you can see, even though the syntax is dramatically different, the concept is very similar. And once you understand the name of the class, replacing add last with push back or add first with push front really isn't that much of a stretch. So to use this class, you include list. It is a doubly linked list, just like the .NET Framework. And it has common operations to push and pop from the front and back of the list, and to iterate over all the values. Now it has some operations that are quite a bit different than the .NET Framework. So if you're interested in seeing different types of operations you might want, check out the documentation for the C++ standard list class, and I'll show you a link to that in just a moment.